It's always a pleasure to welcome on our next guest. He's a Hall of Famer. He's been an exceptional hitting coach. He was a number one pick. He's a great dresser. He's a hell of a dancer. He's our friend Chipper Jones, and he's kind enough to join us on the Loud Security Systems Newsmaker line. Chipper, we appreciate you joining us. Hey, man.
How's it going, guys? I don't know about those last two things you said, but I have one question. Does Chuck say vroom on cue every single time, or is that like recorded?
We can't give you all the inside scoop here, Chipper. I mean, it's like if we told you all the secrets.
The timing is impeccable every single time.
Yeah, Digital awesome. Chuck is the third member of the program.
It's a busy time.
I knew that already.
So, how pissed are you?
Oh, I'm not mad.
Okay, because I don't know. I just need to get to the bottom. I'm skimming through my Twitter timeline the other day, and I like Twitter. Twitter's fun. Then I see a local a radio guy tweet something, and then Chipper tweets back at him like, "Oh my God, this is amazing!" And I got popcorn out and I watched the whole thing. So, for those who don't know what happened, I'm not going to give a name. It's not important. But somebody tweeted something about Snit in a comparison to Bobby Cox, and Chipper, you cooked him. You cooked him like bacon. Was it the timing of the tweet or the content of the tweet?
I think it was more the fact that, here we are celebrating the retirement of Snit, and even this person said they were just discussing Snit's legacy. Like Bobby Cox wasn't even, a part of the conversation, and he just decided to, while throwing some flowers at Snit, and he certainly deserves it. He said something, pretty derogatory, I thought, towards Bobby, and I just wanted to let him know that I didn't appreciate it. That's all.
Okay, it was friendly enough, or maybe not. So let's talk about Snit here. He wasn't your manager, but you were around him for a million years, like everybody in this organization. Tell me about Snit behind the scenes, because all we see publicly is he's very Bobby-like in the kind of the demeanor and the way you guys talk about him. So give me some Snit that maybe we haven't seen and that you saw through the years.
Yeah, Bobby's a little more honest with me in his office than he is with, the media. I think that's what people love about him is that, he's real. He is real. I think 90% of what you see out there is real. There's certain stuff that needs to be handled in-house, doesn't need to be talked about, but I just love it because I can remember when he would show up in Macon, Georgia for early defensive work with no shirt on, hat on backwards, big mustache. He had the big blue blocker, sunglasses on, and he's out there hitting bucket after bucket after bucket of ground balls at us. And that was 1991 in Macon, Georgia. And here we are, basically 35, 40 years later. And, it's the end of an era here in Atlanta. And so many good things have happened in between then and now. It's just cool to reflect.
Conversation about who's going to replace him. I'm not going there. I don't really care about that. But just talk about the respect that Snitker had, because my observations doing this job for 25 years, I'm like, how do you motivate millionaires? And for a baseball team, if I respect the manager, I'll go out and bleed for him some. That has really boiled down to me if I respect the guy. Tell me your comment on that, and specifically along the lines of Brian Snitker, because everybody sure did.
Yeah, well, I think we go back to the legacy. He's been in this organization 50 years. 50. Think about that for a second. And it's all been in this organization. It's, it started on the lowest rung, lowest part of the ladder, lowest part of the totem pole. They worked themselves all the way up to being a world champion, hoisting the trophy at the highest level baseball can be played. That to me says everything. I think as a manager, you have to be able to walk the fine line between sometimes having your players maybe be a little, I don't want to say scared of you, but respect, maybe when they come in your office, they stick their toe in the water just to see, what your temperament's like. And then also allow them to be themselves on the baseball field, express themselves on the field, all the while playing the game the right way, And I think that most good managers have good clubhouses. Managers don't want to be in the clubhouse. They don't want to have to deal with issues in the clubhouse. Whenever you have those alpha male or two that kind of police the clubhouse, for the manager, it makes the job a lot easier. And, Snit was great at kind of pulling guys in, not really, busting their rear in the media. It was always we. It was never an individual. And I think people at the end of the day really respected that.
The Hall of Famer Chipper Jones with Chuck and Chernoff on the Loud Security Systems Newsmaker line. So, Chip, when I hear people talk about the job, they say, well, the Braves way, right? And some people are like, well, we need a new voice. Maybe it's time to change the Braves way. My response to that this week has been why. It seems to have worked for a very long time because Bobby presented it. Freddie was here for a minute, but Snit got back to that. I don't know. I want you to explain the Braves way. And why would you want to go away from something that seems to have worked at a very high level for nearly 35 years?
Yeah, I don't get that either. I can certainly see both sides of the argument, I guess you could say. But I thought you brought up a really good point. I think it was yesterday when I was listening, and it said we don't know what Alex is thinking. He's never had to do this before. I mean, is he going to get somebody from outside? Is he going to get somebody with very little experience? Is he going to get a bunch of experience? Is he going to be old school? Is he going to be, a Braves lineage guy? Nobody knows, and I was thoroughly ready to, respond to you guys that way when asked who do I think is going to be the next guy, because I really don't know. I think we're still kind of ripping the Band-Aid off with Snit and giving him his flowers, and hopefully we get the search and the decision done pretty well. But I'm with you guys. I mean, I would like to see an apple that hasn't fallen too far from the tree, if you know what I mean.
So, Bobby, there was a phrase that I've heard 50 people say. He treated them like men. And then I'm down at spring training, and I'm seeing guys done at like 9:30 or 10 in the morning, like I got my work done, I can leave. Talk about that aspect of it, because that's what everybody talks about. If you were okay with it, if you could handle it, Bobby would treat you like a man and give you a lot of responsibilities. If you weren't, you were UNL Escobar and he'd trade you. Tell me about that aspect of it.
Yeah, I think especially for the first week or two of spring training, I think Bobby will be the first one to call you in and tell you that, hey, I trust you. I know you're going to be ready. When the time comes, come in, get your work done. Then you got all day to do what you want. I mean, you can take the family to Disney World or SeaWorld. You can go play golf with Smoltzy and Tiger. I mean, all those things are some of the perks of where we were training, but Bobby was not going to treat a first or second year guy the same way he did, the big three, or myself 10 years into my career, because they hadn't proven that they could be ready by April 1st, and it took us a while to do that. But I think we all appreciated the fact that, spring training was a time to get ourselves ready for baseball, yes, but it was also, a fun time, and there were good times to be had down there, and I just the guys really appreciate it, and Snit is just an extension of that. Really, we don't train in Orlando anymore. There's not a lot to do in Northport, but same goes. Those guys, first couple of weeks of spring training, they come in, they get the work in. They're in there at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, lifting weights and getting their cardio in. They get the work done on the field. They're off to the golf course for the rest of the day.
Chipper Jones, the Hall of Famer, with us on the Loud Security Systems Newsmaker line. Now, you've said already in the past you don't have a want to marriage. I'm going to ask you two parts of it. Would that ever change? And if it doesn't change, is it the grind of the schedule, the travel? You've done it. I want to be with family, because I think that would weigh on somebody else whose name might be on the reported list for this job, all those factors.
It is it has already been okayed by my family if I want to get back into it. Like, they are completely okay with it. They really enjoyed the Futures game at the All-Star game and that experience. That being said, I do not wish to manage at all. I have no experience. I have the feeling that I could be a very, very good hitting coach, but I have no desire to be a manager. There would be way too much interaction with people on your side of the fence that I probably wouldn't get along with all that much, and I don't feel like it suits me very well, in all honesty.
Well, along the hitting coach lines, I'm going to ask you about one guy, Aussie. Tell me what you thought you saw maybe down the stretch from him, and if you could peek into 2026, what do you really expect from Aussie offensively?
It's all about health with Aussie. Unfortunately, he plays like his hair is on fire. He's diving and running all over the place, and he hasn't been able to stay healthy, whether it's a wrist, now it's the hamate bone, it's been a thumb. All these things really prohibit you from being the player that you can. So I'd like to see him stay healthy. I could say that about a bunch of people, on this ball club. But Aussie's right-handed swing has always played. It has never, very rarely ever gone into slumps. And he's an incredibly streaky guy, left-handed. And that's not all that uncommon for switch hitters, right-handed being your natural side. I mean, most switch hitters will tell you they can fall out of bed and hit from their natural side. Most of the time, that's the right side. And it just takes a lot longer, a lot more moving parts left-handed to get everything lined up. But when you're hurt, you get into some bad habits, and I just think Aussie kind of struggled with his mechanics left-handed, and, well, to be honest with you, this year a little bit right-handed as well. It took him a little while to get going, but it's unfortunate he got hurt there at the end of the season because he was starting to turn it around. So,
Chipper, let me go back for a second because I'm curious about manager characteristics, and you said you don't know that you would handle some of the things. We've seen TV guys, media members, go into the dugout. Most recently, Aaron Boone did it. Our old friend David Ross did it. Joe Girardi. Like, we've seen guys do it. What do you think about that move as opposed to somebody who has coaching experience at the major league level, managerial experience at the minor league level? Do you think in this position for the Braves, who want to be back to contending next year, is it too much of a risk that they might want to take on somebody who doesn't have experience?
I think it's a very good point. It's like I was saying earlier. We don't know what Alex wants. Does he want to pull some strings that maybe he wasn't able to pull with Snit, with the manager? I mean, I saw that with Frank Wren and Freddie a little bit. Right there at the end of my career. Or does he put the best 40 guys in camp and let the manager make his own decisions? I mean, that plays into it, a guy with obviously less cachet or less experience, he's probably going to lean on him a little more. But, you bring in somebody old school, somebody who's been around a while, who's been a manager, it might be different. So we're just going to have to wait and see. Look, I'm assistant to the general manager, and I have no clue. So I got asked about it 3 times at the barbershop today, and my answer's been the same every time I've been asked.
Did you go number 2 on like high and tight on the sides? What'd you do?
Oh, I went 0. 0 on the sides, and I went all the way down to the dirt. Yeah.
Well, it's almost deer season. So,
all right. Last thing on the manager front. How do you think the player has changed from your time, which is not that long ago, but different generations bring different players. In other words, Snit near 70. Dusty Baker just retired. Bruce Bochy. Today's players, 20, 21, 22, they're seeing money earlier. It's a different world with social media and all the challenges. How does the player make the manager job different?
I think you have to be more patient nowadays because there's less attention to detail, i.e. bunting, hitting behind runners, hitting and running, playing the game, guys on third, less than 2 outs. Put an emphasis on getting that guy in no matter what you have to do, whether it's a ground ball up the middle, whether it's a fly ball to the outfield, whether it's taking a walk and letting the next guy do it. There's less attention to detail because, as Josh Donaldson so eloquently said a few years back, guys don't get paid for hitting singles, and to an extent, in this day and age, that's right. But until you look at what the Milwaukee Brewers have done this year, they don't hit the ball out of the ballpark. They play the game, and that comes from the manager demanding that of you, And a lot of it, too, is kind of playing the game around the personnel you're given. Look, the Braves have sticks. They got guys that can hit 30, 40, 50 homers. You got to let those guys eat. I get that much, but around those guys, you still need to play the game. And I think, the Milwaukee Brewers have done it brilliantly this year. And that's the difference in the game, 20 years ago as opposed to what it is now.
Well, to your point, I think we're watching that in the early rounds here of the baseball postseason. Trying to score a run right now, it's excruciating. I mean, how many bases loaded, no out spots where you're not able to get a run home? Now, I'll give all the pitching credit. We have multiple guys hitting 99, 100, 101. That alien Mason Miller's living at 104, so it's really hard to hit it. But when you don't have any practice doing those things, and then we get mad at you in the postseason for not being able to do the little things we talk about, like that's an issue in the game that's not going to change.
Well, it's not going to change until you bring back some old dinosaurs or GMs, start demanding it of them. I think from a certain standpoint, the starting pitchers we're making so much money, like the studs, the Verlanders, the DeGroms, the Scherzers. I mean, the Kershaws. These guys are making so much money, and I think the only way that the GMs could curtail not having to pay those guys is, okay, we're going to align our bullpens with 4 or 5 guys that throw 100. We're only going to throw these cats, these starters, 4 or 5 innings. That way, in negotiations, they can't hold us over a barrel, and we won't have to pay them as much. The guys down in the bullpen, they throw 100. One guy blows out, they just replace them with another one. And it's not fair, but I think that's one way you certainly kind of curtail the starting pitching market and what's being paid out there. So the game has definitely changed. I think most of the time you see the teams that are going to win from now on are the teams that strike out very little. They do hit some home runs, but they are tough outs. They are the toughest out possible. You're seeing a bunch of guys up and down the lineup with the Dodgers and the Brewers. These guys, they don't strike out. They put the ball in play. They run the bases, but they also have really, really, really good and deep bullpens. And that's kind of the way the game has evolved over the last few years.
I think we got a lot of good stuff done here. I really do. It's like I'm evaluating what's happened. You gave a great sort of tease of like maybe Chipper's changed. And then he's like, no, I don't want to manage. So we got that out there. You got
to be the hitting coach.
Right. Maybe hitting. You got your haircut, got a 0. So you went high and tight there. You were listening to the show yesterday, which we always appreciate. And you used the proper gas bag. You used gas bag in a tweet, which I'm respectful of in a major way.
And talentless. I use that one too. Don't forget that one. That one gets overlooked in between clown and gas bag. Don't forget talentless.
I appreciate it. Chipper, it's always a pleasure. We appreciate your time. We'll talk to you soon.